All right, new tariffs on everything from clothing to shoes are just the latest hurdle facing retailers recently. Courtney Reagan joins us now with a pair of special guests who are navigating their company through the difficult market. Courtney.
Hi, good morning to you, Joe. I am here at Under Armour in New York City. It's a brand house store at the Westfield World Trade Center with CEO Kevin Plank and Chief Operating Officer Patrik Frisk. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us here today.
Welcome.
We just had Secretary Mnuchin on talking about a variety of things, including tariffs. I know you've been working to lower your sourcing out of China. It's getting lower. It is still there. And since we heard from you last during the earnings call, there have been new tariffs that have been imposed. This list 4A and 4B on things like clothing, shoes, socks. What does that mean for Under Armour, Kevin, when it comes to the cost, the margins, and ultimately the prices that we would pay in a store like this?
Well, thanks, Courtney. We wanted to come and have this conversation because this is a brand in transformation that's been moving from really defense to offense. And as a part of that transformation, so much of what we did was setting ourselves up for the future. And a large part, I think, to be credited to our operations team for actually making China is not a place that we're going to feel that great of an effect.
No, it's great. I mean, with the current tariffs, we're actually not being affected very much at all. We only have about 10% of what comes into the U.S. from China. So the current state, we're okay.
You're okay, meaning you don't have to raise prices. You figured out other mitigation tactics?
We have. And like Kevin said, going from defense to offense, we feel that this is actually a quiver in our arrow right now.
And so speaking of going from defense to offense, you're in year 3 of a 3-year turnaround.
Yes.
You have lowered inventories, gross margins have improved. North American sales, though, haven't quite stabilized as you had hoped, and you've just hired a new North American president. So, Patrik, is this a symbol that maybe something needs to change with the North American strategy?
Well, I think, 6 months ago, we came out and laid out a plan that's really actually over 20 quarters, and we're 2 quarters into that plan. We're confident with that plan. But any plan needs a great leader. We think we've hired that great leader right now in Stephanie. Stephanie's going to start on Monday. She's got great merchandising experience, great proven leadership talent. And we also think that she's going to be, that growth mindset that we need for North America. So we're really excited about, what lies ahead.
Kevin, you've talked about getting a louder voice with your brand and with your brand messaging. Obviously, Under Armour is founded on performance. Some have pointed to an opportunity, though, in athleisure that perhaps you've missed, to take the opportunity to use your product for more of a streetwear. Is that something you want to move into with your innovations and your transformation?
So when we're doing it right, it means we're a really quiet company and a really loud brand. And that's something that we're actually, when we say getting on offense, you're going to start being able to see and feel that from us. We've heard all the reads on athleisure, what it means. Are you in it or not? Let's be crystal clear. We've identified our consumer as something we call the focused performer, and that is a mindset that the consumer has. And it means that when they're thinking about what they wear and what they do with Under Armour, is that there's no here's performance and then here's athleisure. It is all performance. We say that without beauty, there is no performance. And so imagine product. The thing that makes it Under Armour is when you look or you see an Under Armour product like this incredible Intelligent sweater that I'm wearing right now. Yes, I'm plugging UA.com. And as you think about what that sweater means, it should say, wow, that's a really cool sweater. Your next question should be, what is it? I'd say, well, it's Under Armour. If the next question out of your mouth is, if it's Under Armour, then what's it do? We're the what's it do brand. We're the ones where it actually has a two-sided layer where it can breathe as well as it can repel and keep the cold out. So like that idea of innovation, everything we do, that's what the DNA of the brand. That's what the consumer knows when they buy Under Armour, that it's something that's actually making them better. So that's what and who we are. That's what drives through.
So, Patrik, are these innovations getting customers to come into the stores? This store is not an outlet store. 90% of your physical direct-to-consumer stores are. And traffic in North America. And traffic was an issue last quarter. I mean, that was something that pressured your results. So are the innovations driving traffic into stores?
One of the interesting things that we talked about in that plan that I mentioned before, that we talked about at our Investor Day, is that we're going to continue to build more direct-to-consumer, more full-price direct-to-consumer also here in North America going forward. We believe that's one way to drive our innovation, is to make sure that the consumer is able to come into stores like this and actually see the innovation that we're driving. We're going to couple that with great messaging, becoming a louder brand, and that's really what you're going to see as you turn the corner from 19 into 20. Under Armour going from defense to what we do best, which is playing offense.
How do you see the current U.S. consumer, Kevin? We feel like the consumer is sort of the linchpin holding the economy together right now, as we're seeing other points of weakness. What are you seeing for the U.S. consumer when it comes to Under Armour? 70% of your business is still here.
Well, we continue to see it through the lens of Under Armour. And one thing that we know is that when there's the barbell effect we think that's happening is that consumers are looking for massive value or they're looking for quality. And what we find is that when we deliver innovation, we deliver things like our new hover platform, we deliver things like this $100 intelligent sweater that the consumer is looking and saying, we'll buy there. I think the beautiful thing about being in sport is that football is going to be played in the fall, baseball in the spring, lacrosse, et cetera. And so sport has this luxury in our industry that, we have a tendency to endure. It doesn't guarantee you a thing, but I think with our brand in particular, it's one that when we deliver the right product, the right price, the right time, we're going to win. So we're a little bit shielded from that, I think, in sport. But I mean, our perspective is, the opportunity basically sits in our hands. So we love controlling our own destiny, and you'll continue to watch us do that.
And we're extremely excited about the innovation pipeline that we have coming up. So great pipeline with great messaging and actually turning on the loudness is, we think, a recipe for success for us going forward.
So we talked a little bit about direct-to-consumer, but obviously wholesale is still a big business for you. You sell in a number of department stores or other stores, some of which are mall-based, like a Dick's Sporting Goods. Yep. Some are mall, some aren't. How is your brand selling in those locations when we know that traffic to those malls are pressured?
Yeah, I think that was a little bit lost in our last earnings call. We were talking about D2C, we were talking about wholesale. And one of the great things is that we see now as some of our old inventory is going off the shelves and we're putting new inventory in with new innovation and new messaging, it's really resonating with the consumer. So like we said, we're a little bit more optimistic about our wholesale business than we first thought for this year.
And I think you've seen that shakeout that happened, 3 years ago through 2016. I think we felt in our industry especially, the strong would survive, and we knew that. You've got some terrific partners that are, Dick's Sporting Goods is really dictating a tempo, and that's something that we like to say about our business as well. And so the success that we're seeing in our wholesale business is something that obviously gives us great confidence. But, it's our job is to make sure, one of the things we've learned is how we segment, how we differentiate, how we make sure that wholesale, different from our own retail stores. This is one of 1,200 stores that we have around the world right now. One of the things that we declared on the last earnings call that we'll have close to 2,500 stores, over the next 5 years. So that commitment to understanding retailer is one of the things we think is going to make us a better wholesale partner as well. And so we're equally distributed in both of them.
What about your business on Amazon.com? You are a first-party vendor for Amazon. Is that something that's going well for you? And how do you feel about that when it comes to some of these competitive questions that have been surrounding Amazon's business and their sellers?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think, what we're focused on is the consumer. So ultimately, our job is to understand how the consumer moves through their purchase journey. And today, certainly, most searches start on Amazon, so it's important for us to be there. I think, the balance of what we do and how we distribute will continue to evolve as the consumer evolves. And so our aim is to really stay focused on what the consumer is doing and follow the consumer. That's important to us. I think, Kevin, you want to add anything to that?
And this world has just been changing so fast. I mean, it's a beautiful thing about, Patrik now here over 2 years, July 11, 2017, and just watching that partnership build of, well, let me tell you how Under Armour works. Let me tell you the way things were versus the transformation, the transition that we've had to being this next level brand. So our job is to meet the consumer wherever they want to transact and making sure that we're there, again, right product, right price, right time. And we're seeing that, Amazon has been a part of that. But, our strategy is also making sure that our own e-commerce, our partners' own e-commerce, making sure that we're doing a great job with them, again, with that segmented product, because it should be special. When you buy Under Armour, it should be special. And so that's something where that uniqueness is something that we want to make sure that we offer that on our own website, giving people a reason to come and shop our brand.
Very quickly before we go here, we've gotten some news out of California. The state Senate has at least approved the idea that college athletes may be able to accept compensation. Right now, you do sponsorships UCLA, Berkeley. Would you look at potentially going after individual superstar athletes instead of an entire athletic program? Is that something that makes sense for Under Armour?
Well, I don't know if we can speak to that, but, we've seen the legislation come down. And you're right, having two great partner schools like Cal and UCLA, it's a massive deal in the state of California. Our first value, which is we are a values-led company, we've got 8 of them. The first one says love athletes. So we absolutely love athletes. We also recognize how much value that athletes are generating for some institutions. And as a part of that, the classic quid pro quo has been the college education. I'm someone that actually benefited that, having been a student athlete at the University of Maryland. But I do think that there's athletes that are driving, incredible value for those institutions, and frankly, they should be fairly compensated. And I'm not sure that's exactly the case today. So we look forward and support, and that drives again to we back the athlete, and we want them to make sure that there's an even keel that takes place there.
Got it. Kevin Plank, Patrik Frisk, thank you very much for joining us and bringing us into the Brand House here today in New York City.